Have you ever watched someone solve a complex problem in seconds and thought, that person is just built different? Like intelligence is some kind of genetic lottery, and either you won it or you didn't. I used to think that too. But then I started digging into the actual science of how the brain works, and what I found completely changed how I think about intelligence. Because here's the thing, almost everything you've been told about IQ and brain power is wrong. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how geniuses actually train their minds. Because the research is clear. Intelligence is not fixed. Let's get into it. First, let me destroy a myth that's been holding people back for decades. The idea that your IQ is set at birth, that you either have it or you don't, that intelligence is just a number stamped on your brain like a factory setting. That idea is outdated. Neuroscientists now understand something called neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a static organ. It is constantly rewiring itself based on what you do, what you think, how you challenge yourself. Every single day, new neural connections are forming. Old ones are strengthening or fading. Your brain is alive in a way most people never fully appreciate. Here's what that means in practical terms. When you learn something new, your neurons actually physically change. The pathways between them grow stronger, like a trail in the woods that gets easier to walk the more people use it. And the opposite is also true. If you stop using certain mental pathways, they weaken. So the question isn't whether your brain can grow. The question is whether you're doing the things that actually make it grow. Now let me give you the first thing geniuses do differently. They embrace difficulty, not in some motivational poster kind of way, but literally, as a cognitive strategy. There's a concept researchers call desirable difficulty. It sounds counterintuitive, but the harder something is to learn, the better your brain actually retains it. When things come too easily, your brain doesn't invest in building strong neural pathways. But when you struggle, when you have to work for understanding, your brain treats that information as important. It encodes it deeper. This is why reading a textbook once and highlighting things in yellow doesn't work. But trying to recall information from memory, forcing yourself to retrieve it without looking, that works incredibly well. Geniuses don't avoid the hard mental work. They seek it out. They do what researchers call retrieval practice, actively pulling information from memory rather than just rereading it. They solve problems before they know the answers. They test themselves constantly. And over time, this kind of deliberate cognitive challenge literally reshapes the structure of their brain. The second thing geniuses do is they think in systems, not isolated facts. Most people learn information as disconnected pieces. A genius builds mental models, frameworks that connect ideas across different domains. When Albert Einstein was working through complex physics problems, he wasn't just memorizing formulas. He was building elaborate mental simulations, running thought experiments where he would imagine himself riding alongside a beam of light. He was connecting physics to philosophy, to mathematics, to visual imagination. This cross-domain thinking is what allowed him to see what others couldn't. You can develop this skill. Start asking yourself how the thing you just learned connects to something you already know. Force your brain to build bridges between ideas. The more interconnected your knowledge becomes, the faster you can think, the more creative your solutions become, and the better you get at spotting patterns that other people miss entirely. The third habit is one that almost nobody talks about. Geniuses are obsessive about the quality of their questions. Not the answers they have, but the questions they ask. A mediocre mind asks shallow questions. A trained mind asks questions that expose the hidden structure of a problem. Why does this work? What would happen if this assumption were wrong? What is this actually an example of? Questions like these force your brain into deeper processing. They push you past surface understanding and into genuine comprehension. And genuine comprehension is the foundation of all real intelligence. Now here's an emotional truth I want you to sit with for a second. A lot of people don't pursue mental growth because they're afraid. Not of failure exactly, but of looking stupid, of trying to understand something and still not getting it, of being the person in the room who has to ask the obvious question. That fear is the enemy of intelligence. Because intelligence doesn't grow in comfort zones. It grows at the edge of what you currently understand. Every genius who ever lived spent enormous amounts of time being confused. The difference is they didn't interpret confusion as a sign that they weren't smart enough. They interpreted it as a sign that they were learning. Carol Dweck's research on mindset is crucial here. She found that people with a growth mindset, people who believe their abilities can improve through effort, outperform people with a fixed mindset over time, even when the fixed mindset group starts with higher measured ability. The belief that you can grow is not just motivational fluff. It actually changes how your brain responds to challenges. It keeps you in the game longer. And time in the game is where real intelligence gets built. The fourth major thing geniuses do is they protect deep focus with an almost fanatical intensity. We live in a world designed to fragment your attention. Every notification, every scroll, every quick dopamine hit from social media is training your brain to expect constant stimulation and to resist sustained effort. The ability to focus deeply on a single problem for an extended period of time is becoming increasingly rare, which means it's becoming increasingly valuable. Geniuses throughout history have structured their lives to protect long, uninterrupted blocks of cognitive work. They understand that deep thinking requires deep focus, and deep focus requires deliberately cutting off everything that competes for your attention. If you want to train your mind like a genius, start treating your attention like the most valuable resource you have. Because it is. Everything great you could ever think or create or understand flows through the quality of your focused attention. The fifth habit is perhaps the most underrated. Geniuses rest strategically. This might sound like permission to do nothing, but it's actually the opposite. Research on how the brain consolidates learning shows that rest, particularly sleep, is when your brain does its most important organizational work. During sleep, your brain replays what you learned, strengthens the important connections, and clears away the neural clutter. People who sleep well after learning retain dramatically more than people who don't. And beyond sleep, the unfocused mental state you enter when you go for a walk or sit quietly, what neuroscientists call the default mode network, is actually where a lot of creative insight happens. Your brain makes connections in the background that it can't make when it's under direct pressure. So here's the complete picture. Geniuses are not born with a magical cognitive advantage that the rest of us simply don't have. They train their minds through specific, repeatable practices. They embrace difficulty and use retrieval practice to encode knowledge deeply. They build interconnected mental models, rather than collecting isolated facts. They ask better questions. They protect deep focus ruthlessly. And they use rest as a cognitive tool, rather than treating it as wasted time. Your brain is not fixed. Your intelligence is not capped. The ceiling you think you're bumping up against is not made of biology. It's made of habits, beliefs, and attention. And all of those things can change. Here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one of these strategies and apply it today. Not tomorrow, not when things slow down, today. Because your brain is changing every single day, whether you're being intentional about it or not. The question is whether it's changing in the direction you want. Start training deliberately. Start treating your mind like the most powerful tool you will ever own. Because that's exactly what it is.